Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session, we are going to look into number data type in JavaScript. So far, we have seen string data type. Now we will work with number data type. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code to get the understanding on number data type. As we already know that number has various forms, it's integer as well as has decimal format as well. To understand it better, we are going to do an example where we will create a calculator to convert the Celsius temperature to Fahrenheit temperature. As we know that we use two types of unit to measure the temperature, that is Celsius and another one is the Fahrenheit. So for this particular case, we are going to create a calculator where we will pass the Celsius temperature and it will convert it to the Fahrenheit temperature. So for that, what we need to do, we need to define a variable called Celsius, and here we will tell that the value for normal body temperature, we will pass it 37 for the normal human body temperature, and then we will define two constant variable. It should be 1.8 as this is coming into the formula. So we need to tell that const1 equal to 1.8. Here we will specify the semicolon, and there is another constant which we need to specify, that is going to be 32, and that is constant 2. So now the formula to calculate from Celsius to Fahrenheit is like this. We need to tell that it is going to be like this. So here we will use the block comment which we have already seen, and the formula which we are going to use is Celsius multiplied by 1.8 plus 32, and result is our Fahrenheit. So let's do this formula. So what we need to do, we need to tell that to do in programming, we will tell that let var equal to cell, that is Celsius, multiplied by 1.8 plus 32. So here you will find that we are using two operator. One is the multiplication operator, another one is the addition operator. And along with that, you will also see that we have used the decimal value as a constant as well as the integer value as a constant, and along with that we are also passing the value which is going to change, and whenever we want to calculate any kind of a temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, then we need to pass that. So for example, we have initialized it 37 as 37 is the human body temperature. So let's do the console log and the Fahrenheit, save it. Let's jump into the browser to see the output. Then you will find that it has returned 98.6 temperature, that is the Fahrenheit scale for a normal human body temperature. Now let's proceed further and we will look into some of the operators which we use generally to perform the operations on numbers. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. Let's understand what are the operators available within the JavaScript for math operations. So we have following operators. We are having plus operator which we have already seen, then we have multiplication operator, then we have division operator, then we have percentage operator that will return us the remainder, then we have a square root operator, that is double asterisk. So let's look into one by one. So we will define two variable, let a equal to 20, let b equal to 30, and here we will provide the semicolon, and then we will tell that console.log, and here we will specify output which we are going to declare this variable earlier. So but we will first print it. So here we will tell that output equal to a plus b. This will return us the addition of two numbers. So let's look into the browser. So here you will find that it returned us the addition of two numbers with the help of the plus operator. Let's proceed further. Now instead of plus operator we will use minus operator. So let's look into the output, what the output we will get. So here you will find that it has returned minus 10 as it has subtracted a smaller value with the larger value. So these all are basic operations. Then we will look into the divide. If we will use this divide operator, let's look into the output, what the output we are going to get. So it has returned the decimal value, that is 0.666. Now let's look into the remainder. For remainder we are going to use b over here and a over here, and we will use the percentage sign. Now let's look into the output. So it has returned the number 10, that is 1 and 0. Now we will look into the square root. So how we can calculate the square root? So we are going to use the double asterisk sign to calculate the square roots. So let's look into the output. So here we get the larger number. Let me reduce the number so that you will understand this output. So let it be 2 and 3 so that you can see the difference. So it is calculating the square root of the variables. So let's jump into the browser, save it to see the output. So here it has calculated 3 to the power 2, that is 9, and when you reverse it, it will give the output 8. So let's do it. This time let's calculate a to the power b, save it, it will return output 8. So here you will find that it has returned output 8 because it is 2 to the power 3. So let's proceed further. Now we will discuss about the order of operations. Order of operation used by JavaScript to do the complex calculation. So let's understand with an example. But prior to writing an example, I would like to tell you about order of operations. Order of operation is mainly related to in what order the operations on the number is being performed when we are having multiple operators used within a complex calculation. So now the question over here is how JavaScript perform this complex calculation. So it is based upon the same mathematics rule which we have learned in our primary courses of math, and the rule which we were following earlier, the same rule is applied over here. That is the rule of board mass. We will tell that board mass. So B for bracket, O for order. Order means the power operation, and the square root operation. All this belongs to this order operation. Then division, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction. So this is the order which JavaScript interpreter follows while doing the complex calculation. So let's write a little complex calculation. So in this example, we are going to create a variable called x, and this time we are going to write some complex calculation. So we are going to tell that 2 multiplied by 20 minus 10 square by 2. So save it. So how this calculation happen? So what will happen? It will first calculate this bracket operation because it starts with b. Then it followed by this order operation, that is a square root, and at the end it will calculate whatever the result which comes with this calculation, it will be multiplied by 2. So we will write console.log, tell that x, save it. Let's jump into the browser to see the output. So here you will find that it has returned the output 200. That is indeed a correct output because 2 minus 10 is 10 and 10 to the power 2 is 100 multiplied by 2 is 200. You can verify this by doing little changes in this calculation. So let's do it. Let's remove the bracket from here, and this time we are going to place this bracket over here. Now let's see what output you will get, as it has changed the order of execution of the operation. So let's look into the output. So this time you will find that earlier it has returned 200, but this time it has given us the output minus 60. Why? Because we have changed the order of operations. Now let's proceed further. Now we will discuss about shorthand operators, which actually gives us the handy mechanism to perform the addition and subtraction of the values in a shorter way. So what I mean to say that, let's understand with an example. Suppose that if you are having a variable called count and that is initialized by 0, and if we want to increment this by 1, so how we can do that? We can write that count equal to count plus 1. So let's look into the output. Get the output, we need to write the console log. So let's copy it. And here we will tell the count. Now save it. Let's look into the output now. So indeed it has incremented the value by 1. So this is one of the way you can increase the count, but there is a shortest way also available, that is called by using the shorthand operator. So how we can use it? We will simply tell that instead of this we can tell that count plus plus. So this will increment by 1. So here it is telling 0. Now the output will be the same whatever we got earlier, that is 1. So let's look into the output. So here you will see that earlier it has returned 1. This time also it has returned 1. Now let's proceed further. Now suppose that if we want to increment by count 2, so how you can do that? So there is other way you can do it. You can tell that count plus equal 2. So this is one of the way you can increment it. So let's comment this out, save it. Let's look into the output. So here you will find that it has indeed incremented by value 2. So we have seen the addition operation. So we can do the same thing for the subtraction. So let's look into the Visual Studio Code. So this time we are going to tell that for minus 2. So let's look into that. What's the output we will get? So here we got minus 2. Earlier we got 2 because we have addition shorthand operator, but this time we have used subtraction shorthand operator. Let's proceed further. Let's look into this minus minus operator as well. So here instead of plus plus, what we will do, we will use minus minus, and we will look into the output. It should return minus 1. So let's look into that. So indeed it has returned minus 1, and you can use this with multiplication operator as well. So here save it, it will return us the value 4. So let's look into that. but first let's comment this. Here we need to change the initializer, so we will initialize it with 2. So save it. So let's look into the output. Else what will happen, that if you provide 0 over here, so it multiplied 0 into 2, it returns 0, so that doesn't make any sense. So we need to tell that would be some value other than 0. Save it. So let's jump into the browser to see the output. So here you will find that it has returned the value 4. Same way you can use the division operator with the shorthand. Let's do it. So this time it will return 1. Save it. Then here you will find that it has returned 1. Now let's proceed further. Now we will discuss about nan, that is not a number. What exactly nan is? Suppose that if you want to try something irrelevant which is not making sense, like dividing a number with a string, so it will return nan. So let's create a variable called let nan example, and this time what we want to do, we want to divide a number 66 divided by how you. So once you do this thing, then it will return nan. Why? Because this operation doesn't make any sense. So let's look into the output, but prior to seeing the output we have to do console log so that we can get the output. Nan example semicolon, save it. Let's jump into the browser now. So here you will find that it has returned nan. So that means not a number. In a simple term we can tell that it is an invalid operation on number. So that's the reason it is returning nan. Now let's proceed further. Now here when we are performing the operation like this, so it has returned us nan. But suppose that if we want to add or concatenate a string with a number, so what will happen? That internally it will convert the number into a string and then it will concatenate it. So let's look into that. Suppose that if we want to print the count with a number, so how we can do that? We will write console log, and here we will specify the count equal to plus, this is the addition operator we generally use for concatenating two string, but here we are specifying the count which we have calculated earlier. So now here you will find that it will add 2 plus 2 and it will return 4. So let's look into that. Let's jump into the browser. So here you will find that it has returned us count equal to 4. This way you can concatenate a string and a number. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate you in this session. So let's wrap the session. So in this session we have seen how to assign an integer, how to assign a decimal number. Then we have also seen how to convert a Celsius to a Fahrenheit scale. Then we have seen different operators over here. Then afterwards we have looked into the BODMAS principle, what the order of operations JavaScript follows. So we, in this aspect, we have looked into BODMAS rule. Then afterwards we have also seen that shorthand operators, and at last we have seen the nan operator, as well as we have also seen the concatenation of a number with a string. So on this note I am stopping over here. See you in the next session. Till then, bye bye, take care.